he designed the Atwater Beach Pavilion. That's quite a body of work and quite a treasure. Colonel Henry Hengels is our Eschweiler. He is our locally grown Frank Lloyd Wright. When our village leaders needed to provide more space for our public safety teams in the 60s, they understood this legacy and took care to mirror the building with the addition. You saw how the sides matched on the building. They matched the masonry, carefully matching the brick colors, the fenestration, and even the decorative ironwork under the windows. They understood this legacy.
Thank you, Joanna. So let's talk about where we are today. We see this community asset as not only providing charm and connection to our past, but having very practical uses as well. I really enjoyed the discussion. I really enjoyed the depth of questions here because it shows me that people are really willing to look carefully at this. The extra square footage was something we talked about. So all three of us have been out. We've been basically canvassing with our flyers since Saturday when they were printed. And so we've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of people, talk to our neighbors, distribute the flyers, get the information out of these important meetings. And the responses are almost identical with the people we talked to. First, there is surprise. I didn't know this was happening. And second, there's some unhappiness at the thought of losing the firehouse. People say, why would they tear down the firehouse? Some people have also offered up suggestions for how we can keep it, how we can use it, creative ideas. So that is how we know that the North Shore Health Department has a need for more office space. And we know that the public library has received requests to expand their programs, and especially to provide space for our middle and high schoolers after school. We know that the senior programming has also kind of been asked to expand and include more. We see this opportunity with this extra space, and we realize that it brings us into the future. It offers flexible community rental space. The other thing is its location. I mean, this building is part of a vital village campus. We are in the heart of Shorewood right now. This building is next to the village hall. It is steps away from the public library. You have that element of location that is going to make anything that happens there successful because of how convenient it is and the continuity that it provides. So there's a close-up there, if you look in the left, that Shorewood Village Hall plaque. I just want to talk about really quick. So in the past, the people of Shorewood have done the work to identify, nominate, apply for, and succeed in getting some of our public buildings designated as historical. The Village Hall is on the National Register of Historic Places. It was put there in 1984. The DPW building that we learned was designed by Colonel Hengels. That was designated a historic landmark in 2008. The entirety of Hubbard Park and all of those buildings, the lodge and those smaller buildings that were designed by Colonel Hengels, was designated also a historic landmark in 2000. We believe this should be extended to our public safety building. And just briefly talk about money, the numbers. So as we've seen in the Zimmerman report, there is a little, it would be cheaper to demolish and rebuild, just with the straight numbers. It was $500,000. So this translates, if you think about it, $500,000 is just over 10% of the total cost to demolish and rebuild. What are you getting for that by spending 10% more? You are getting to preserve this wonderful historic building and provide an increased service to the community well into the future. Joan, take us home.
So the question of what to do with the public safety building has been a topic of discussion for at least the past decade. In all of the research that we have done on the early planning of Shorewood, our historic leaders had a vision for our village. They wanted Shorewood to be a beautiful place to be proud of. Care was taken to make this village a place of refuge and a place of comfort. Our legacy buildings represent that and are a touchstone to this original vision. All around us, we can be inspired by others who rose to the occasion when confronted with similar circumstances. They found a way to make it happen through private funding, matching grants, and state and federal historic tax credits. Who has ever gone to the Pabst Theater or the Riverside for an event and not spent as much time looking around them at the beautiful details as they did looking at the performance? The same is true about trips to the Pabst Brewery. Aren't we all looking forward to hearing the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra when they're at the Grand Theater? This is an opportunity for us to rise to the occasion, to honor this legacy, and to recognize the talented architect who loved this place like we do. So thanks to everyone for letting us be on the agenda, to the Historical Society and other neighbors who have helped us with our project and continue to help us going forward. Thanks to Village Manager Rebecca Ewald, President Allison Rozak, and the village trustees for the opportunity to present in front of you. We value the historical and cultural significance of the firehouse and the Shorewood architect that designed it. We hope it inspires you to preserve and protect this unique architectural asset and part of what makes the village of Shorewood such a great place to live. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It really is encouraging to me and to the rest of the board to see residents activated and actually caring about the community and taking the time to volunteer and do some research for us. So I really appreciate it on behalf of the board. Is there anybody that has questions for the presenters? Yes, we do.
Thank you very much. It was a really great presentation, and the materials that you put together are really great. I don't have a question, I have a request. Since I've been on the board, this is now the third big decision that's come before the board that has activated the community and has inspired people to put out information and talk to their neighbors, which is wonderful. I'm going to make a request that we work together to not only listen to what's important to you, but to also acknowledge all the factors that the village board has to contend with in making this decision. Because unfortunately already I'm starting to see on Facebook some of the similar kinds of, I'd say, in my experience, it's distortedness around, the village board just doesn't care, or, that it really isn't that. These are really complicated decisions. And even you mentioned money, and lots of times as a village board we talk about apples to oranges and how please don't ask us to compare apples to oranges. So I'm making a request that we all work together on something that we all care about very much and not pit each other against each other around things that are different goals in this. So that's what I would really, you have much more access to people than all of us do. But if we all work together to get the same information out, I think then we can have a really, really meaningful discussion. So I'm hoping that this round is a little different.
Absolutely. That's one of our goals.
And I hear that. I just wanted to let you know what I've seen so far and how you can go out with the best intentions and how things get confused really easily. So if we just work together, I think we can have a really meaningful process.
Thank you.
Is it trustee Martin?
Yeah, could you clarify a little more what you
Oh, sure. I actually printed out a couple Facebook posts that I thought today that just may or may not,
So you're objecting to
not
posts
objecting.
on Facebook?
No, I'm requesting. I'm requesting. Did you understand my request?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't.
Oh, my request is that in all the inspiration around this decision that we have, that we as a community look at all the factors that are involved, and to avoid the temptation to isolate preservation as, to try to elevate one issue as one factor as more important than another factor. The reality is we have serious factors to look at. We have to, as a village board, we have to provide fire service. And as part of the North Shore Consortium, we have to do that. We have to look at the impact on the taxpayers. We also have to look at preservation of our community. We have to do all those things, and that's only the top 3 that have been mentioned tonight. There are more that we have to do in making this decision, and that's why we're taking longer to do it. And that's great, and I am thrilled to have so many residents involved. But I think it will be a meaningful process if we can all acknowledge all of the parts of that decision that we're trying to.
But you were expecting the resident group to be addressing issues about cost and fire protection. I mean, isn't that, if you have a concern that not all issues are being addressed equally in any venue, is that really their responsibility, or is that your and other board members' responsibility to bring those issues also to the same level of discussion? I mean, I'm not sure it's on them to address things, you know, like this cost versus other capital needs. That's not really a resident's responsibility to do that.
I really don't see a way that we all can't accomplish everything.
Thank you.
Trustee Butters.
So I also thank you very much for the presentation and the thoughtfulness, and it was obviously a lot of work. So I was curious, you said that you had canvassed a certain area of town. Do you have the materials that were distributed? Do you have copies of those?
Yeah,
Okay,
well,
that's
here's the, so what you have in your packet is just the text. It's just a 1 page. Here's the beautiful.
Thank you.
I just see,
Rosie, just,
okay, here, okay. I see us pointing to documents on the village website, okay? And, like a video of this presentation. I mean, that's how I see us, providing information to the village. I mean, not answering the questions that you were talking about. I mean, I don't think it's our responsibility to provide additional education, just point to what is already been made available.
And that, I think, to not go into the rabbit hole that you guys been alluding to somewhat, I didn't see her as saying that the citizen groups have, or the resident groups have to provide additional information. What I heard from Trustee McKay is if we all work together and we clarify and we, so for example, I mean, I only saw one Facebook post today, and I get it, people are passionate, and I think it's incumbent on all of us to correct any misinformation we would see in this process. For example, what I seen was someone saying that the village board is going to tear down the fire station potentially and build another one. Neither of those are true. We're not tearing down, you know what I mean? It's the North Shore Fire Department that wants to purchase the property and then either renovate or tear it down. You know what I mean? So there's, and then on the flip side of the building or the reconstruction. And again, you know, there's a lot of information and a lot of this has been mentioned, but President Rosa had also referenced this before, that we have 7 municipalities that make up the North Shore Fire Department. So, you know, we have to figure out, and I'm not saying we can't, but in this process, it's not just us, it's, you know, them as well. And of course, you know, ultimately, we own the land. And so, you know, we have a little bit more leverage, but just as it's been mentioned tonight, we also owe it to all of our residents to make sure that there is fire service and fire protection. Yeah, so I think if I'm understanding what you said before was that it's not that everyone has to have all of the information, but it's to know that this is a collaborative process. We also, you know, well, I'll speak for myself. I love the building, you know, I love the character. I want to make sure that we all have fire service. I think actually it's a shared responsibility that I have to, you know, do that. So I'll go along with what she said. together as much as we can. And I think we've seen that, you know, we've been in constant dialogue for 6 months or for whenever we were president. So I'm not saying it's not happening, but what is happening collaboratively, you know, as long as that continues, that's great. I think it facilitates, it makes the whole process quicker and, you know, more true to what everybody's trying to achieve.
And that's why I was happy that village manager put our materials in your packet, so it was transparent.
Right, thank you.
Trustee Maher?
Yeah, it's been mentioned a number of times about historical grants, historical tax credits, energy grants. And somewhere in this process, hopefully early on, we gather that information because it could be a factor, at least in the financial analysis. This of all the factors, somebody needs to start gathering that. Fire department, somebody, we need to identify.
I have a question just for the chief and then, so chief, so my understanding